Hey, Blaine Chastain here with Irish Flute Store. Today I just wanted to kind of give you some sound samples, just play Geoffery Ellis's essential flutes, as well as, here's one of his essential, this is the B flat, and as well as his Ebony Pratt flute. And currently we have a great selection. We have his B flat, C, D, E flat, and F essential flutes in a variety of woods to choose from, and and a couple of the ebonites in stock. So starting with the B flat, this is the version he has with sort of an ergonomic finger hole placement. I have sort of medium size hands. If I buy gloves, I get medium gloves, and I find this pretty comfortable. So yeah, a bit of the air around the lower on the Ellis B flat. One thing I really like about these flutes is that in the past when I had played cylindrical, simple flutes like this, I never really quite got on with them, just because there's some issues that most of them have with intonation. So between the octaves, typically the second octave would be flat. And in the case with these Ellis flutes, even all the way up in the high reaches there, they're really well in tune with themselves. And that's because he actually, it looks like just a perfect cylinder. And on the outside it would be, I suppose, but the head joint is actually tapered inside. And so that helps or facilitates the good intonation this flute has between the octaves. Also, the tuning is just really spot on as well. And not to mention the workmanship is really clean. So that's his B flat. That was in cherry wood. Here is a, I think it's black walnut. Yeah, black walnut C. And I actually filmed a short little documentary on Geoffery Ellis, and I actually played, I think this is the one that I actually played on the music score that I wrote for that. So yeah, one thing I love about these flutes is just their rich resonance. There's something different about cylindrical flutes. Since they typically have a large, these anyways are made with a fairly large bore, there's just a lot of expressiveness in all the different notes. I don't know, there's just a lot you can do with them. All right, moving up to the D essential. This is a curly Douglas fir. I'm gonna actually take a drink of water here. It's fairly dry here in Colorado. We actually have to keep all of our flutes, as you'd expect, in humidor, or these humidified cabinets that we have. Okay, so one other nice thing about these flutes is that even though they are cylindrical, they play, I won't say exactly the same as a conical flute, but it's the closest that I've found in terms of response and in terms of response to a tapered, flute, a conical flute, and in my opinion, it makes it a good option for those of you looking for sort of a lower cost but still a great playing flute in a different key. So most of us have D flutes, but if you wanted a C flute and you didn't want to spend $1,000 or plus on a C flute that was a conical board flute, these are great options because, I mean, as you can tell, their intonation is great, they sound great, and they're not very expensive. So let's see. So yeah, great response, great bottom D. So for those of you that really like to punch on that bottom D, this is a great option. Honestly, like, I think this probably has a stronger bottom D than even my personal conical flute. That's something about these cylindrical flutes, is that they do tend to have nice strong bottom bell notes, as we call them. All right, so since we're on the key of D, I thought I'd bring out the Ebony Ellis. And Ebony, you can read about Ebony on Geoffery Ellis's website, his blog. He's got a kind of a long article about it, but it's a vulcanized rubber, so it's an organic material, natural material. The nice thing about it, though, is that you don't have to worry about it cracking. So, and it resonates really well too when you're getting it going. It really kind of vibrates in your hands and really plays well. Let's see, what should we play? Let's see. Again, great intonation. Of course, this is, more of a traditional Pratt style flute. I love his embouchure cuts. They're just really, not only they're easy to play, but they just are very efficient with what you put into it. So I find that they're great for whether or not you're just starting out, or you've been playing a while and you kind of, here's the thing about sort of a misnomer with beginner instruments, or, I'll get people ask me, hey, would this be good for me, being that I'm just starting a beginner? Well, the thing is that you will always benefit from a better playing instrument, a better instrument. When I was first starting out, the flute that I had wasn't even half the flute that this was, and I would have benefited from knowing that it was me, not the flute. It was always, back when I was first learning, it was like, well, is it just that my flute's kind of wonky, or is it or is it me? And it was actually both in the beginning, when you're first learning. But with a flute like this, that even if you're just beginning, you start with a great flute, and you just, it's good to have a basis of comparison, knowing that you're starting with an excellent instrument. You're only going to get better the more time you put into it, and you're not going to be wondering if your instrument is to blame. So, anyways, that's I'm losing track of all the flutes. The Ebony Pratt. So now, this E flat. As we get up higher in pitch, I mean, they're super fun to play. They're all fun to play. I find that the lower pitches are just super moody, and I don't know, it's fun for just kind of playing slower, although you can play them faster. But as you start getting into the higher pitches, the E flat and the F, they just really zing. They really have a lot of energy. Let's see, this one, E flat, this is roasted curly maple. Yeah, so you can tell, super energetic, super expressive. And then finally, this F roasted curly maple. Really strong bottom F in this case. So that's Geoffery's flutes in a nutshell. And so right now, and we're going to try to keep a good stock of them. We have them in anywhere from low B flat to F, and in his essential model as well as his Pratton.